So, did you happen to know that the 1983 iconic drug lord in the movie Scarface, known as Tony Montana, was actually inspired by someone in the animal community?
Antonio Montana. And you? What you call yourself?
Let me tell you a little story about the real-life Tony Montana and what he's doing in the animal world today.
Say hello to my little friend!
So, in order to give you an idea of the bigger-than-life personalities that we're talking about here, I'm going to first introduce you to Caesar. So Caesar was a super popular guy in the 70s and 80s in the iconic Miami Beach club scene. He basically had it all. My man rolled around with a thick gold rope chain that had a 50 peso piece inside of it, all enshrouded in gold. He had an 18-karat ID bracelet. And on the bracelet was the name Caesar in diamonds. Oh yeah, he also had a ladies' Rolex presidential watch. Unlike me, because my man was always seen rocking the club in his iconic turtleneck and New York Yankees cap. If he wasn't at the club, he could be seen riding shotgun in a really nice brand new Mercedes-Benz, usually waving a Cuban cigar in his hand as people gawked at him. So why is this so memorable, you may ask? Because Caesar was the constant companion of a drug lord kingpin known as Mario Tabraue. In fact, Caesar was a chimpanzee. It was long rumored that Tabraue was the inspiration for Tony Montana. Together, they'd shuttle guests back and forth between Tabraue's mansion, which was located not too far from the club known as the Mutiny, which was a really popular scene in the 70s and 80s that was frequented by all kinds of Hollywood stars hanging out in the area.
I gotta watch my friend here. He's gonna stick his tongue out to that girl. Oh, look at that. Hey, yo!
So the reason that Mario Tabraue is considered the inspiration for the real Scarface is the fact that he did actually have large cats roaming on his property to protect his drug interests and his stash. It was rumored that in Tabraue's Coral Gables mansion in Florida, he had large seats with his name monogrammed in the back of the leather seats. This also was used towards the inspiration of the character for Tony Montana.
Here. Get the keys to the front door. Go down there.
So Tabraue would pick up all the VIPs in their Mercedes-Benz and drive them over to the mansion in Coconut Grove, where it's alleged that leopards freely roamed the grounds, along with exotic birds like toucans and even a few owls.
Manny, look at the pelican flying. Come on, pelican.
Tabraue would go on to entertain his VIP guests at his house by feeding live rodents to things like owls or a two-headed snake. Impressive. The man was way ahead of the curve. So let's rewind a little bit and take a look at why Tabraue is the inspiration for Tony Montana, aka Scarface.
Why do you have to talk to me like that all the time, right? Like I gotta know something.
Tabraue and members of his father's organization were accused of smuggling over 500,000 tons of marijuana and several thousand pounds of cocaine through local fishermen and area people in the Miami region. Not only were Mario and other members of the organization accused of drug trafficking, but they were also accused of murder.
You think you can take me?
Turns out that when members of the organization got wind that they had a rat within their ranks, they turned on Larry Nash, who was actually a government informant at the time, and they shot him in the head. They then brought the body to Mario Tabraue, who allegedly began to hack at it with a machete, and when he was unsuccessful at removing the head, he turned to a circular saw. They later allegedly took the body parts and threw them in a cattle trough where they ignited it with lighter fluid and set the entire thing ablaze. Mario was also accused of the murder of his estranged wife Maria, who was shot 9 times after they had a domestic dispute. But eventually, the charges were dropped.
I call my lawyer. He's the best lawyer in Miami. He's such a good lawyer.
So Tabraue received what was thought to be a life sentence of 100 years. But it turns out that he had a lot of knowledge of local laws and how to work with the government, and so he cooperated as a witness and was released after 12 years of serving his 100-year term.
He's such a good lawyer.
A short time after he was released, he met his soon-to-be wife, ironically also named Maria, and together they started the Zoological Wildlife Foundation in the Miami area. Here at the Zoological Wildlife Foundation, guests can pay to interact with the animals in their collections. You pay a certain fee to come into the park, get a tour, and see some of the animals up close. Or you can pay a premium price, which entitles you a few minutes with something like a lion cub or even their chimpanzee, which seems to be gaining a lot of local attention and international attention as well, actually, thanks to posts that are being put up on social media. Now, the Zoological Wildlife Foundation is no stranger to the social media world. As a matter of fact, it was the launching platform for Mike Holston, who you may better know as the Real Tarzan. Mike was a keeper at the Zoological Wildlife Foundation and rose to fame taking pictures with some of the resident animals there. At one point, Holston was chastised by Jane Goodall herself on social media for his treatment of chimpanzees that belonged to the Zoological Wildlife Foundation at the time. But despite that, his popularity is still rising, and you can definitely look out for the Real Tarzan, who got his start at Zoological Wildlife Foundation. So twisty. So today, Tabraue vows to living a clean lifestyle. He no longer engages in any criminal activity and solely concentrates in running the zoo along with his wife Maria. Mario states that he's happy now because this is essentially what he wanted to do all of his life. So if you can imagine, Mario Tabraue is basically what would have happened if Tony Montana, aka Scarface, ended up surviving at the end of the movie. He used his money to open up a wildlife sanctuary, and he's really happy doing what he loves in life. Maybe not a Hollywood ending, but I guess it's a happy ending nonetheless. So now you know just a little bit more about people in your animal community. Did you want to know that much? I don't know. To me, this just goes to illustrate the incredible diversity of characters that we have living in the animal world. And as time goes on, I'm going to share more of these stories with you. If there is something or someone that you would like to see me cover, do me a favor and drop it down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Say hello to my little friend. He's a baby leopard.